Hi, my name is Schyler Church. I'm a California real estate broker as well as a member of the education department at Accredited Real Estate Schools. We provide the course requirements to be eligible to take the state exam, as well as varying levels of preparation so you're prepared to pass the state test. And today we're discussing practice questions to help you review for this state exam in California. The first question we have: when an appraiser begins to determine the value of a residential property, he will consider the A, gross rent multiplier, B, square feet of living space, C, utility, D, marketability and acceptability. Well, let's dissect the question. So we're looking at what an appraiser is going to first be determining or first be looking at and considering when figuring out the value of a residential property. Well, we know that he's probably going to be looking at square feet of living space and utility, because remember, utility is one of the elements of value. And if it was an income property, he might also be looking at the gross rent multiplier. But the first thing he will be looking at is marketability and acceptability. Will people like it and will they buy it? That's the first thing he's going to be looking at. If marketability and acceptability wasn't an answer option to select from, though, the other option would be highest and best use. And then if neither of those ones were there, utility would be the other best answer. Because remember, the DRE usually has always two correct answers. But one is the better answer. And in the case of this question, the best answer is marketability and acceptability. And now what does this exactly mean? So we know it just says, will people like it and will they buy it? Well, marketability, the ability to sell or market a parcel of real property, and the acceptability, that's what we measure of how acceptable the property will be to the general buying public. So can we market it to people that will want to buy it? And then will they find it acceptable of the condition that it's in? So, and where it's at, and a lot of other factors. So marketability and acceptability. Question number 2. The liquidation of a financial obligation on an installment plan or basis is called A, conversion, B, amortization, C, acceleration, D, conveyance. Well, as always, let's dissect the question. So we're talking about a liquidation of a financial obligation on an installment plan or installment basis. Well, a financial obligation, let's say like a loan, and the liquidation of it, so you're paying off the loan on a constant, like an installment plan. Well, when we're doing so, that is not called conversion. It is called amortization. We know it's not acceleration or conveyance. So the best answer is amortization. And remember the amortization curve we have. So we have principal and interest payments here. So this is how much you're going to be paying, for instance, on a monthly basis right here. And then the time. So maybe your first month, second month, all the way up to, for instance, 360 months that you'll be paying this for. And this shows how much is going to be going towards principal and how much towards interest. So when you're first starting to pay off and pay off the financial obligation, well, you're going to be paying a little bit of principal and mostly interest. But by the time you pay it all off, so at this 30-year mark, for instance, your last payment will be mostly all principal and just a little bit of interest. 3. The developer is converting 5 apartments to a form of common ownership. This results in the separate ownership of the individual units and shared ownership of the common areas. This is so number A, timeshare, B, subdivision, so condominium project, C, community apartment project, D, all of the above are correct. Okay, so we're looking at 5 apartments that are going to be converted to a common type of ownership, so like a planned unit development, and each of those apartments is now going to have separate ownership. Instead of having one owner for all 5, it's going to be separate owners for each of them. Well, on that case, we know if it's 5 units or more, that is considered a subdivision. It's not a timeshare, so subdivision so far is the best answer, and it will be a condominium, so it's a condominium project. A community apartment project, no, it's not going to be an apartment anymore. It's a subdivision. So the best answer option is B, subdivision condominium project. And remember, let's go over the Subdivision Map Act and the Subdivided Lands Law. So the Subdivision Map Act is used to physically subdivide a property from one parcel to two or more parcels. So if for some reason you are going to have a parcel of land and you're subdividing it into at least two or more parcels, then the Subdivision Map Act would apply. Now, if you are going to be subdividing the property into 5 or more parcels, the Subdivided Lands Law will apply. And what this means is, so if you're subdividing a parcel of property into, let's say, 7 units, well, the Subdivided Lands Law will apply, but also the Subdivision Map Act will also apply. And there must be 5 or more lots to be called a subdivision. 4, title insurance protects the A, seller, B, beneficiary, C, mortgagee, D, buyer. So who does title insurance ultimately protect? Well, it protects the buyer. So the buyer is the one that's ultimately protected from title insurance. Yes, the seller, it's great for when selling the property that the buyer gets title insurance to possibly limit future liability or litigation down the road, but it ultimately is going to protect the buyer when they purchase the property and title issues that could come about when they're owning the property or supposedly supposed to own it. So let's go through this. So remember, buyers should obtain title insurance, and it takes effect at close of escrow. Remember, though, no title insurance policy covers everything. And you do need to know the difference between CLTA versus ALTA. So remember, the California Land Title Association, which is the owner's standard coverage, or the extended coverage policy we have with ALTA, which is the American Land Title Association. And just remember the basics. So CLTA, that covers the owner against all recorded items in the chain of title to the property, forgery, incompetence, lack of capacity, and improper delivery of a recorded deed. Whereas ALTA, because it's the extended title insurance policy, this is mostly considered like the lender's policy, for instance. It covers everything that CLTA does cover, but it also includes physical survey, boundary lines, unrecorded encumbrances, and encroachments. And then 5. Abel owns an apartment building and undertakes a 1031 exchange. He may A, exchange his apartment building for one more valuable, exchange loans, and pay the balance in cash. B, purchase an apartment building of lesser value. C, purchase personal property as long as it is of lesser value. D, none of the above are correct. Well, okay, we're talking about an apartment building, so real estate, and he's going to be exchanging it with a 1031 exchange. What do we know about exchanges? So he's doing the delayed exchange, and real estate needs to be exchanged for real estate, so of like kind, and it has to be at value or higher. So let's see here. When we look at answer option A, exchange his apartment building for one more valuable, so exchanging an apartment building for one of like kind, exchange loans, and pay the balance in cash. So he's going to be buying something or exchanging into something more valuable, which he can do, and he'll just be making up the difference of that in cash. That definitely is something he could do. B, purchase an apartment building of lesser value. That is not okay. You cannot do that with a 1031 exchange. It has to be of equal or higher value. C, purchase personal property as long as it is of lesser value. Well, we know lesser value automatically is a no, but personal property he cannot do because that's not of like kind. D, none of the above are correct. That's not true because A is correct. So A is the best answer. Exchange his apartment building for one more valuable, exchange loans, and pay the balance in cash. And let's go over exchanges real quick. So remember, when an investor sells an income property and receives a capital gain, the investor has two options. They can cash out, so pay a tax on this capital gain received, or exchange the property for another equal or higher price property and follow strict rules. Because remember, this is regulated by the IRS. And there's two types of exchanges you can do. A straight across exchange where each investor exchanges properties directly to each other, which is definitely doable, but you're not going to be this is very hard to do, and it's not common. Whereas in a delayed exchange, which is what the IRS code of the 1031 exchange is, where the investor sells the property and reinvests the proceeds into another like-kind property within a prescribed time period. So this is the delayed exchange. And these exchanges allow postponement of capital gain taxes. So you're not being exempt from paying them, you're just deferring, postponing the payment of the capital gains taxes. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at Accredited Real Estate Schools. We have programs that have a lot more videos. This is just a little snippet of a sample of some questions to help you prepare. And I look forward to seeing you licensed shortly, but feel free to contact us with any questions. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.